Hi everyone and welcome to another Hatch live stream. I hope you're all having a really wonderful week and that wherever you are you've got some great weather. Sydney is in the beginnings of winter, which for Sydney-siders we think the world is freezing right now because we are so unused to cold weather. Our days are still 19 degrees, they're still beautifully sunny. It's actually wonderful, but it's really funny because everyone's like, oh, it's freezing, it's freezing. So that's always really hilarious. So that's a great thing. Let me know where you are in the chat. I'm just getting an error form on my chat, so I'm going to duck out of screen for one very quick second. Aha, and hopefully now I can see the chat. It's giving me a little bit of issues and just saying that it is not there, but welcome everyone. I hope you're having a really great week. Lots of things to talk about today. We've got some in-person events where you can come and chat to the Hatch team, and I'm going to talk over some different digitizing things. And if you're brand new to digitizing, where you can actually start to learn all of those skills. So we've got a few things happening today, which I'm very excited about telling you all. So hi, I can see people coming along already. So I'm just going to chat for a little bit longer just to give some more people a little bit of time. I know sometimes you got to grab your cup of tea or your coffee and settle in and get ready for your live stream. One thing I did that was really fun this week is I joined a TikTok live stream. So for those of you who saw it on TikTok, hi to Marsha and Victoria. Thanks so much for having me. It was tons of fun. So Marsha's channel on TikTok is Miss Snuggy Craft, aka Marsha. There are links to it from the Hatch TikTok if you are a TikTok person. But it was really great. I got to go on and have a chat to them, and they had lots of questions about how we can use Hatch to either start a small business, become more efficient as a small home business, and all of these different ways that people may not know how to use Hatch, which will help them out. We also talked about the different levels of Hatch. So I thought that was a great thing to mention today because sometimes people don't know that if you're on, say, personalizer or composer levels of Hatch, you have slightly less capabilities than if you have the full top level of digitizer. So with digitizer, you've got access to everything, all the tools, all of the academy, absolutely everything is at your fingertips, ready to be the best. On the other levels, they're fantastic ways to grow, and some of us only need lettering capabilities. We don't need everything else, so that's a little bit of a savings for us. If you do start off on one of the lower levels because that's all you needed at the time and you're like, actually some of that other stuff's looking really kind of fun, you can upgrade yourself from one level to the next. It's actually quite easy, and there's a very easy path for you to follow to go along that. So if you are in that situation, you can always check on the website and see how you can do go up your levels, and you just pay the difference between each one. And it's a really easy process. If you get stuck, you can always contact the support team and they will help you through that as well. And that's for anything that you have that is technically related. So sometimes you might get like an error code or some kind of like violation and you're like, I don't know what this is. My first stop is always go to the FAQ sections of the Hatch website. It's a fantastic resource and you can troubleshoot lots of things in there. And sometimes it's something super simple, like you just got to clear your caches. But if it's something more technical or you yourself aren't super technical and you need a little bit of help, launching a support ticket, or lodging a support ticket I should say, with the team means that someone will get in contact with you and they will help you through that process. So if you get stuck, help is available. One thing I would mention, that if you are lodging a support ticket, try and do it with the exact same email that you either bought your Hatch with or that you log in your Hatch with, because the team need that in order to figure out what's happening, what levels you're on, what you should have access to, all of those kinds of things. So if you can keep that email consistent, it makes everything a lot easier. And I know that gets tricky sometimes with someone who has multiple emails. So keep an eye on that. If you do run into problems, there is help available. So definitely do that. But lots of things happening. And one of the big things coming up for us is we are going to be at the Sydney Craft and Quilt Show. So for those of you who are in Sydney, you might remember we were there last year, and we're going to be there again this year. For those of you outside of Sydney, particularly if you're in Australia, or maybe you're one of those lucky people who are planning a holiday to somewhere lovely and are coming to visit us, you might want to lock all of this in along with your holiday plans, and you just say to the family, you go to the zoo, I'm off here. Though to be fair, the zoo is really fun too. Okay, let's have a look at what the craft show has got happening this year. So I've just done a little scroll of the actual website, and you can see there one of the things I wanted to point out is that you can actually bring a friend for free. So if you are under 30 and you are traveling with someone who is over 30, when the over 30 person buys their ticket, you can actually go in and get yourself a ticket for free, which is very cool. You have to provide some ID on the day, but it's a really great way to actually get into the show, and maybe you can share it with your mum or your nan or your brother or your sister, and you can have a look. One of the things I've just clicked onto here is the timetable. So the timetable is all of the extra things that you can do at the show, which is above looking at the actual displays. So one of the things I wanted to mention, that if you wanted to come and chat things with Hatch, there are availabilities to do that. So you can actually see the team at the actual, on the stand. So on the stand, there will be the team there. You can come and ask us questions, just have a chat. But also at midday each day, I just said midday and I hope it's not 12:30. I'm going to check that. I'm going to be giving a talk each day about different digitizing tools that are going to help you out with different types of digitizing. So because I'm at the quilt show, I think I might do some things which might be some quilt related things, but I'm going to do some other things as well. If you are coming to the show and you have something in particular you want to learn about, if you can send us an email, or even better, jump on our Facebook user group, and the team's going to drop that link into the chat for you. If you can jump into that user group and let us know some topics, and just like topics for Susan, that would be great, because I would love nothing better than to actually answer all of your questions while I'm there in person. So if you are coming and you want to suggest some topics, that would be great. If you can't make it, perhaps you're on the other side of the world and you can't make it to come visit us, we're very sad about that. But you can also suggest a topic, because if it all works out well, my plan is to record it like I am recording our live stream today, so that you can actually have a chat in the chat with the live stream and see what's happening. So do suggest some topics. If we don't do them for the craft show, you might see them pop up on another live stream. Sorry about the noise. I just realized my earrings are very long and hit this my microphone then. I'm very sorry if that was a very loud noise for everyone. I will try and keep straighter with my head. So lots of great things happening at the craft show. One really fun thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have swag. So if anyone is a regular at like Comic Con or any of the cons that are more kind of fan-based cons, there's quite often swag. And the way swag works is you either have to go find the person on the day and you say a code word and then they give you something, and you can the only way you can get that is by able to say that code word. So what I'm going to do is during the craft show each day, I'm going to do a little live on our Instagram. So that's Hatch Embroidery on Instagram. So I'm going to do a little live from outside the show, and I'm just going to say whatever the code word is for the day. If you can then find me during the day, big hint, go check out the Hatch stand, I will have some swag with me to give away to you. There is only going to be a limited number, so sometimes I might disappoint you, and for that I am already sincerely sorry. But it's a really fun way to come along and have a chat and get something, and it's really helpful if you're not a very chatty person, and it's a great icebreaker for you. So you can come in, say the code word, and you get some swag. So that's lots of fun. So that's going to be happening. Also, we'll be running a giveaway during the show where you can give us some details and go in to win a copy of Hatch. So be sure to fill in your details on the stand. along there too. So we've got a whole bunch of other things planned. I'll be trying to release some little things beforehand, but the big things is if you can make the show, that would be wonderful. And the second one is come follow us on Instagram, get that code word, and come get some swag each day. And I would really love it if anyone is already digitizing things and have their own swag to swap with me. That would make me so excited. So if you've got like a little patch or a keychain or a plushie or anything that you digitize and you would like to swap it for some Hatch swag, I'm going to make sure that would be super fun. So if you want to do that, bring that along. If you don't have anything to swap, no problems. Just give me the code word, you get some swag. So that's our first thing that we've been talking about. Today is the craft show. It's going to be at the Convention Centre, which is at Darling Harbour. You can park your car there. You can catch the trains or the light rail down. If you don't want to walk very far, the light rail is your best bet. You actually turn up at the back of the Convention Centre and then you got to come around the front, which feels really back to front whenever I do that. So I'm telling you that in advance if you're not a Sydney-sider. But it's also a really fast walk from either Central and a slightly longer but nice walk from Town Hall as well. So lots of different ways to get there. It's going to run for 4 days, so Thursday to Sunday. I really hope to meet lots of Hatch people. As you can tell, I'm very excited about it. So some other things that we have been working on though. I've been keeping an eye out and lots of people have been doing some really great in-store events where they are taking in either single needle or multi-needle machines and they're doing a little event or a little pop-up for people for different brands. So they might go in and it might be like a homewares brand or they might be doing like a sleepwear brand, and quite often we see people and they're putting like people's names or initials or a monogram onto like a pocket of a pair of pajamas. It's super cute. It's a fantastic way for home businesses and to make some extra money and get that kind of community engagement. But one of the requests that we had was we would really like to do more than just a name or just a letter or just an initial. But we need it to stitch out really fast, not use many colors, and still have clarity though, because we want it to be a nice embroidery. We just need it to sort of also be fast and small and economical. So what we did was we got together and we thought we would show up some different things. So on that, one of the things I have is my tiny designs. So I'm going to quickly show you this one here. So we've got a cupcake, a croissant, a taco, an apple, a hot dog, some salmon, sushi, and a little tiny onigiri. The onigiri is getting a little bit blown out by the light here. It's, oops, back to front, down here. So I don't know if I can get that one in. Unfortunately, my big lights make it a little hard there. But all of these are quite tiny. So if I put my hand next to the screen, and you can see how tiny all of these are. So none of them are more than 3 centimeters. Big. Most of them are sort of under 2 centimeters, so they're quite small. And we've used some really cool tips and tricks when we've digitized these out. So I thought I would show you those and how you can actually use that. So I'm going to play this one here. And what you'll see is it's a really tiny little croissant. And what we've done is we have broken that down so that it is all the individual little elements of the actual croissant. And then we've gone around that with just a nice little run stitch. So I know it's tiny on your screens at the moment, but what I'm going to show you, I can see the chat going, it's tiny. We're actually going to show it up bigger. And here you can see that we have actually broken the croissant down into individual elements. And this is a really fantastic way. I'm actually just going to see if I can pause that at the moment. Can I do that? Pause. Yes, now I can talk about it a little longer. With breaking down your artwork so that you can see individual elements allows the stitching to do the hard work of defining the design for you. So here, each little tiny section is a satin stitch, and you can see the ends of the croissant, the satin stitch goes one way, The next sector in, the satin stitch goes a different way. And then if I push play and we watch the next section, you'll see in the next section, we've actually used the auto split within the satin stitch to create some extra dimension and to give that kind of flaky look that the pastry actually has. And then we've done a run stitch. But with the run stitch, we've added a little bit of definition in some of the areas as well. So whenever you're doing tiny designs, think about how your actual digitizing can affect the way that the design works. I'm also going to show the cupcake here, and the cupcake, so these ones were actually designed by our head digitizer, who as always did a wonderful job. And what she had done here was something that I have to admit I hadn't thought about, and when she did it I was like, this is genius. Because what she's done is actually she's used the splits again of the satin stitch to create that cupcake wrapper texture. So again, you can play with the embossed fills inside of Hatch, and the icing itself is actually going to stitch out as an embossed fill. So when we're talking tiny designs, I want you to rethink how you're going to digitize. So I want you to think it's not just making something smaller, it's about how you use the stitches to tell the story of how it's going to work. So maybe we would add texture, maybe we are going to add outlines sometimes, so we outlined the croissant, but we're not outlining the cupcake because the texture does it on its own. So whenever we're thinking about digitizing anything, we really want to think about how the end piece is going to stitch out. And as I was mentioning in my TikTok live yesterday with Marsha and Victoria, one of the things I always want to impress upon people when they're digitizing is that you want to work with the stitches, not against the stitches. We're not working with a flat print or a flat surface. We get to play with that texture. And stitches are really beautiful in that way because you actually can change the direction, you can change the different fill types, and you can layer them up to give you a whole other array of things. So sort of critically think about your designs and how they work, and how you want them to look. So with the tiny designs, some of the designs we did a little bigger, then we shrank them down, and when you're working in Hatch and you're using that EMB file format, it's so good because you can design at a bigger design, which is really good if you're a beginner or you just find it a little bit easier to digitize a little bit bigger because you're still getting used to like doing curves and lines and things as you're actually digitizing. But then you can shrink it. And when you shrink it down, it doesn't just try and jam all of those stitches into that tiny space. What it does is it actually recalculates it for you. And it's so good for that because you might put like a tiny little sushi onto a bag or something like that. And then like one of your kids comes along and is like, actually, I'd really like it really big on the back of a t-shirt, or can I add the sushi and the onigiri and can I do this and that? And suddenly you can mix and match things at different sizes. And that's all down to how great that EMB file format is for you. So when you're digitizing, always save as that EMB file format. And until you're ready to go to your machine, don't export it as your file type. So just keep those kind of options rolling. If you haven't maybe digitized before and you've only just got Hatch, or you're still on the 30-day free trial, you can also try the 30-day free trial if you're someone who's like, I wanted to know about machine embroidery and YouTube suggested this to me. There is a free 30-day trial. You can log in and try that one out for you. But what you want to do with your digitizing is you want to kind of think about it and you're not really sure. If you have digitizer, so digitizer level, and you've got full access to the Academy, one of the things you can do is you can do the How to Digitize course. So I'm going to play the overview of the How to Digitize course, but one of the problems I have is due to the software I'm using to actually stream all of this out to you, I can't hear if it has the sound playing, so I don't know whether I have to talk over it. The reason the software does this is so you don't get a reverb and you don't get like bad sound situations. So I'm going to push play. I'm going to really hope that there is sound. And if not, I've got a team member out the side who's ready to give me the thumbs up to be like, it's all good, or quickly talk. So hopefully we will be all okay, and I will be back with you in a moment.
Have you been wanting to learn to digitize your own embroidery designs? If so, this workshop's for you. This workshop is different than your typical digitizing class. This class is not about digitizing a pretty design and then moving on to the next one. In this class, you'll learn how and why. And by doing that, you'll increase your digitizing skill as you work through the 28 hands-on digitizing exercises and designs. You'll end with a challenge design where you must put together everything that you've learned. Learning to digitize involves learning how to use the software and understanding digitizing theory. We'll cover both as you'll learn about the most commonly used tools to create embroidery objects, how to choose stitch types, how to apply properties, and how to edit. So who is this course for? It's for the beginner. It's for someone who's tried digitizing and thought it was too hard, someone who understands a bit about digitizing but doesn't understand the underlying reason, someone who tried digitizing but doesn't know how to edit the results. You will need an embroidery machine and embroidery experience. If you're new to Hatch and pretty new to embroidery, there are links to Embroidery Basics and the Hatch Basics, and that includes the Hatch toolboxes, toolbars, and dockers. So let's cover what you'll learn. You will start with the fundamentals and expand on those concepts as we work through the basic stitch types and the most frequently used tools while applying theory. So just in the first chapter on the run stitch, you'll learn how to apply run stitch to open and close shapes, how to create smooth and sharp corners, why it's important to minimize node placement, how to edit with the reshape tool. We'll do an introduction to stitch properties. We'll talk about how to plan a design for maximum sewing efficiency, and we'll do that a couple of ways. We'll talk about manual options, and we'll talk about Hatch tools for instant pathing. And on each of our design exercises and projects, we'll talk about how to evaluate artwork and how to plan a design before you start. So what all's included with this workshop? You'll get 41 lessons, and most of those contain videos. You'll get 38 images for use with the course exercises and the design challenges, and these images are designed to practice a specific tool and technique. So for the most part, they're easy and simple designs so that you can really master the tool, and then you'll have a design that's a little bit more challenging to really put it into practice. You'll also get 24 finished embroidery designs. So what are you waiting for? Go sign up now.
It worked! I'm so excited. So thank you all for that. That is the overview for the How to Digitize course, which is in Hatch Academy. It's fantastic, and that little tiny snippet really doesn't do justice to the sheer wealth of information that has gone into that course. So I've been digitizing for a while, and like everyone, I always feel like the more you learn, and the more you need to learn. So I did the course and I was like, this is fantastic. And I took notes and I remembered things that I had forgotten. And in general, it just makes you better. And if you were starting from scratch, I feel like it is such a good foundation that it just doesn't get taught anywhere else. So it's a really fantastic way to start. If you are just starting to work your way through the Hatch Academy, there is a getting started section. That's fantastic in terms of learning where everything is. And I really like the toolbox section, because the toolbox section, sometimes I'm like, I want to do this, but I haven't done it in a while and I can't remember what the tool is called. Straight into toolboxes. Oh, know what it is now. So that is really fantastic. And I always like to tell everyone that don't forget the Hatch Academy can be portable with you with the Hatch app. So the app is available on the Google Play Store and on the App Store for Apple or iPhones and iPads. And it's fantastic. You can read it on the bus, you can read it on the plane, you can, anytime you're waiting for kids to do sport or just generally hanging about. Sometimes I read mine instead of endlessly watching my machine stitch out. So I set my machine to stitch out, make sure everything's good, but like everyone, you don't want to move away because as soon as you move away, something goes wrong. So I'll often sit there and I'll just be on my little app and I'm just reading up about the next thing I want to digitize and embroider. So it is really fantastic in terms of doing that. So during this live stream, I've lost my main chat. So I checked it out while you were all watching the digitizing one, and I wanted to give a shout out. Hi, Marsha. So thanks so much for coming in. We've got people from Victoria. We've got Kim. Hi, Kim. We've got so many people coming along. So that's really fantastic. And Becky has actually asked, is there going to be a class in the Hatch Academy on doing tiny designs? Yes, there is. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to re-edit some of the footage that I took when we were actually stitching things out, and we're going to put that together, and that will be a little project class for you. And one of the things I actually did as part of that, in some of the academy classes, there's some really cool things that, like there's this really great bookmark. It's in the back to school live stream from a few years ago, and it just shows you how to do a really simple initial bookmark. I took the initials out and dropped in some tiny designs and then changed the outside shape to be a cute little love heart. So I was going to show some things like that so that you've got some usages with it as well. But I hadn't finished recording it at the time before I went live today. So it is coming, and when it is coming, I will let you know, as is also the embossed embroidery for the velvet. That's coming as well. It's just been super busy. So I am working on it, and my apologies that it is not ready already. That is all down to just being very, very busy. All right, I'm going to try and see if I've missed anything else in the chat. Hopefully I've got everyone else's questions. So someone is asking, so Nerily is asking about the different recipes are needed for different fabrics and how Hatch can help you out with those. So whenever you're digitizing inside Hatch, you can choose your fabric type in there. And it will help compensate for that type of fabric. And by compensate, that's not push, pull, compensate. It means take into account the actual fabric you are stitching on. So maybe we'll talk about this in a longer one and actually show the differences. One of the things I found very useful when I was learning to digitize, or even now when I am trying to put things on different types of fabrics, is actually stitching them out on the different fabrics. So don't go to any expense. If you're a fabric sewer, like a garment sewer like me, your stash is huge, as is your scraps, so just grab your scraps. If you are new to embroidery and you're not a sewer and you don't have that huge stash, go to the thrift store, grab a beaten up old polo shirt, maybe a sweatshirt, and like a jersey t-shirt or something, and just practice. It doesn't matter if it's got 50 logos on it or 20 different designs, because all we want to use is that fabric type. So practicing stitching out is a really great way to know also what stabilizers that you need, but also the different stitch types. But I think that's a really great question, Narelle, and I think we'll do something about that in a upcoming one for sure, because I think that's a really useful thing for people to know. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? Sorry, I also have to read my chat down here. Okay, and Beauty Bee is asking about changing stitch angles in lettering to make the wording look really unique. So there's a couple of really great classes just on lettering inside the Hatch Academy. And there's one which will show you all of the different ways you can sort of use lettering in a very artistic kind of style. I really like that one because it points out some different things that maybe I didn't know. The other thing, whenever you're doing lettering, is grab the free font book. So the font book lists and has an image of every single font that you get inside of Hatch. They're professionally digitized. You can resize them Keep within the size, the recommended sizes, and you get a beautiful stitch out. But grab the free font book. I didn't add this one into the links I gave the team, but hopefully they can scramble for me and do that. Sorry, guys. But the free font book is fantastic. It gives you a whole wealth of knowledge at your fingertips, and you can see all of those fonts that are inside of Hatch. There's also additional font packs that you can purchase from Hatch, and you can also get extra KDCs as well. So the KDCs are the keyboard design collections. Sometimes they're a more ornate style, but it's also a way that you can actually map in different lettering styles as well. One of the things which I want to try and show is apparently I have very nice handwriting and I have been asked to actually write out the entire alphabet so that they can digitize my handwriting. My plan is to record the entire thing and share it with you so that you can actually see how you could create your own fonts as well. So that one's going to be a little bit of a long-term thing because obviously I'm going to be out for the craft show and things, but keep an eye out for that. I just thought that would be really fun and you will get to see my handwriting. So that will be very fun coming up as well. All right, I think I've covered all of the questions. I'm so sorry if I have missed anyone's questions. I do go back and read everything afterwards because sometimes the chat moves so quickly I miss out. So I will go back and read it. Now, because of the craft show, our next live stream might not be on a Thursday. It might be on a different day. So if you don't want to miss out on the live streams, be sure to follow Hatch across all the social media channels. If you are a YouTube user, be sure to subscribe and hit that little bell button. That little bell is going to remind you in your time zone when we're coming up, which is really fantastic because even though I'll be like, we're on at 10 a.m. Sydney. If you're in Arizona, that's not very helpful for you without having to look up that time zones. So if you hit that little bell on YouTube, it's actually going to give you a little heads up to be like, Hatch is live now. So I'll try and give you a couple of days heads up, but the first day of the craft show is a Thursday. So I'm going to try and plan to do a live stream before that. And then depending on signals and things, we might do some sneaky lives from outside the craft show. And like I said, if you want to get in on that swag, be sure to follow us on Instagram and get ready for those little lives where I'm going to give you the keywords each day. I think that's everything. Thank you so much all for coming. It has been wonderful. Keep an eye out for all of the things that are upcoming. There's going to be more classes coming in the Hatch Academy, including Tiny Designs. We've got the craft show coming up. There's always more things. It's always so exciting. Thank you all so much for coming, and I'll talk to you again soon.